Hello, my name's Kat. I'm here to give my testimony today. Since I was 11 years old, I've just always been trying to find the magic, the miracle in my life that's going to just fix everything. But when you get saved, a lot of people just kind of get lost and still trying to find that magic, trying to find that miracle, something to save them from whatever it is that's keeping them bound in their life. But they miss out on the fact that the miracle is that God's actually living with you and living with you step by step by step and developing relationship with you so that you can have the power, you can be empowered and be able to overcome these struggles in your life. To give a little bit background to myself, I came from kind of a middle class family, a typical, beautiful family living in a beautiful home. There wasn't outward appearance, didn't really seem like there was anything wrong going on in my household. But my parents had a really toxic relationship that led to a lot of hard things going on in our home. It led to a lot of poisonous atmosphere that affected everybody in the house. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that, only because I am in good relationship with my family now. But for a long time, for many years, we weren't on good terms. And we did have a lot of struggle and a lot of pain and suffering going on there. Over the years, because of my upbringing, I made a lot of poor choices. When I was about 11 years old, I actually decided to pursue witchcraft at that point. And there was years of me just kind of, I haven't, well, first I want to say I didn't fully convert to being into the religion of being a witch. I didn't choose to be pagan or Wiccan or anything, but I was studying deeply of those things and deeply considering having that be my religion. And when I turned 15, I realized that wasn't something I wanted for myself. I didn't quite fit into that. And the reason why I bring that up is because through a lot of the pain and the suffering from my house, through a lot of these circumstances that were going on in my household, I just felt powerless to. I didn't have any ability of overcoming it. I was so young. I didn't think I had any real say in anything. And I was searching for power. I was searching for a way to empower myself to overcome certain difficulties I felt were out of my hands to control. I had really bad anxiety. I had really bad, you know, I had learning disabilities. I wasn't able to concentrate at school. There was a lot of things that were holding me back. I started, skipping out on school a lot. And I felt like I was too broken. I was too dumb. I was too something to actually function as a normal human being. And I was always seeking out things that I felt would give me the power and give me the strength to overcome this stuff that I felt I just didn't have in me to control. And later on, I'll come to find that that was me actually seeking out God, that was me actually trying to find Him in my life and have Him be in control of the things that I felt were out of my hands. And I wouldn't discover that until I was in my 20s. I just got out of a really toxic relationship. It was very abusive. I got rid of all of my things, and I was living alone in an apartment with just a blow up air mattress and a television. It was in the middle of the day, and I'm just sitting there drinking a beer in the middle of the day. I didn't have a job or anything, and I'm just kind of like, well, I I I knew God. I knew God existed my entire life. My mom was a Catholic, so she always had like these Catholic stuff going on. She always had rosaries everywhere, crosses, whatever. So I knew that there was an actual being of some sort, godlike being that existed. I just never really felt like he was that he really wanted me. Every time I tried to kind of reach out to churches or talk to people who were Christian or talk to people of religions, and I would go to their churches and things, I would just kind of look at them and talk to them and see what they had going on. And I was like, I don't really fit in that. Like, that's not me. Like, whoever this God guy is, like, I just don't fit his branding. He likes a certain type of person, and like, I'm not that kind of person at all. So I was just like, no, that's not for me. Like, whoever he's looking for, it's not me. And I lived my life just thinking, well, I was rejected by God because he obviously wasn't interested in who I was. So the only heaven I'm going to have is here on earth. And I lived many years just seeking out God in a sense. I didn't realize that's what I was seeking out. I was seeking out spirituality and worship and God through all these different things, witchcraft. And then I moved on to being a raver and started going to these rave parties. And that was just about worship. That was about seeing people just communing with something and enjoying this something that they couldn't put words to. They were taking drugs and dancing to music and just worshiping, and they didn't realize that that's what they were doing, was worshiping. And I would just sit there and just like, it felt peaceful to me and calm in those situations. And I kept trying to seek these things out over and over again, and I didn't know that that was me seeking God out. And then finally, when I got to this point of just giving up, trying to find something to fill me up, trying to find something to correct these hurts and these pains and these struggles in my life that were just way too big for me to take care of. Finally, I was in that apartment drinking my beer, and I just said to God, you know what? I don't have a purpose for myself. I don't have any kind of desire to be anything or to go anywhere of my life. Like, I've never dreamt of being a doctor or a minister or whatever. But I kept hearing over and over in my life that you have purpose for me. You have some desire for my life. And I'm choosing right now just to believe that. I don't know what that means, but here you go. Just take me. Do what you want with it. There's not much, but just take the whole thing. And at that moment was the moment that God actually spoke to me. He actually said to me, I'm your purpose. And that changed everything for me. It wasn't an instantaneous miracle. God never gave me a miraculous transformation or miraculous healing moment. It took time. It took building. It took a lot of me just like me in that apartment building, giving up and just giving him what I had, what little bit I thought I had, and letting him do with it whatever he wanted. It took a lot of that to kind of build me up and transform me and make me realize that I am actually smart. I am actually, something that God wants and wants to use. I am a person who he wants part of his people. I do fit in here. I do fit in his churches. And the reason why he never gave me a full-on miracle, the reason why he didn't instantaneously, like, bam, everything's fixed, Kat, is because he wanted me to know that I was always empowered. I always had the power and ability to handle what was going on in my life. I was built to be able to have this power, because I am built in the image of God. I am built to, function in this world with him, to be able to control and take control of the things in my life that were out of control. Like, he's with me to wield whatever powers he has to just make things work and to make life more livable and easier to understand, I guess. And it took me a really long time to realize that. It took me a really long time that I wasn't weak. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't, incapable of living and being something. And I just, my whole life was just about me trying to just live, because as I said before, my family was really toxic. It was really hard to live in that household. And I came from a family that made me feel like no one cared about me, that I had zero value. And if the people who are supposed to love you made you feel like you have no value, you just start to think, well, I can just live any kind of way. Like, no one's valuable. No person matters. It doesn't matter. People don't matter. I don't matter. Just do whatever you want. And I lived a really long time that way, until finally, God showed me that he didn't make a world full of trash. Every single person in this world is not garbage. They are all valuable. They all have purpose. They all have meaning. And you don't ever have to feel like, even if you feel like you don't have meaning, it's only because you've never discovered God. I went from, when you first get saved, everyone has this big, euphoric, amazing revelation moment. And that's when you first discover true love. Like, God is love, so when you meet him for the first time, it's just inevitable that you feel this love, this all-encompassing something that just blows out all of that pain, all of the anger, all of the blindness and darkness in your life. Just all of a sudden you feel like you're in full light for the very first time. And for some people, that light kind of burns out and goes away, and for others, it doesn't. And for the ones that it doesn't, those are the ones that learned how to go from falling in love with God to living with Him. And when you're living with Him, it means that He's not an appliance that you kind of pull out. Like there's a mess in your house, you pull a vacuum out and you're just cleaning up, and then you put the vacuum away, and then you just keep living in that cycle over and over again. They've learned how to not treat God as an appliance that just happens to work out in their life whenever there's a mess. They learned how to live with God as if He's a real person in their life. He's an actual member of their family. They actually talk to Him. They think about how He thinks and feels when they make certain choices. Like He's relevant in their life. And as you learn to do that, that's what ends up growing you up. That's what ends up restoring you back to good health. That's what ends up being your miracle that heals you and transforms you and leads you to a place where you can actually function and do what you're always called to do. And that's what the only message I really wanted to say today in sharing my story. Thank you.